welcome once more to the YouTube channel. Today we are going to look at how to get started with Terraform. So we have your VS Code. We open your VS Code, you go to terminal, send to terminal. So today I'm going to be making use of WSL and my VS Code. So I click here, then I'm going to select Ubuntu. So you have to install Ubuntu subsystem for Linux to get the job done. So I'm going to play on the screen. I'm going to play on the screen here. Okay. Then I'm going to run source. I'm going to run source dot bash rc. So I run this command. I'm preparing my environment. Okay. Now with Terraform, okay, there are a couple concepts that we need to talk about. Okay, we have a configuration directory, we have a configuration file, and a configuration block. The configuration directory is a regular Linux directory that contains a terraform.tf file, the Terraform configuration file. So here we are going to go to Devops-sixfigures, right? We're going to create a new file. That file I'm going to call that as main.tf. Okay, main.tf. I'm going to keep it very simple. Get that file called main.tf. Within my main.tf, we want to take a look at what we call Terraform initialization, version constraint initialization. On my Terraform version constraint initialization, right, we are going to need to understand the difference between required. Many Terraform users always get confused between required version and required provider. So I'm going to bring it here. Okay. Now, if you look at my screen, on line 1, on line 2, right, we talk about required version. On line 3, we said required providers. Now, some folks will be asking questions: what's the difference between the version on line 6 and the version on line 2? Now, Terraform is an API-intensive tool, right? For you to use Terraform to provision infrastructures into different cloud platforms, Terraform needs some plugin. That plugin enables Terraform to get the to get initialized and be able to provision infrastructure for you in any cloud provider. If you want to use Terraform to deploy infrastructure in GCP, in Azure, in AWS, each of those cloud providers you need a provider in order for you to connect and do stuff. Okay, so here we need to define this version configuration. This Terraform block is a top level configuration block. It has no levels. Okay, so here we want to talk about required version. The required version here and the required provider plugin version, there are two different things. Okay, line 2, which says required version, is telling you have to install a minimum Terraform version of at least 0.1214. That means if you're running Terraform version that is below this version, then you are not respecting the version constraint, and you're going to have errors. They're going to have errors. On line 6, we're talking about Terraform provider plugin version, the version of the plugin that Terraform needs to use in order to interact with AWS backend. That version of that plugin is version 5.31.0. So here, if you take a look here, this is how you pin a provider plugin version. You see version equal to 5.31.0. That is you pinning the provider plugin version. So as a summary for this short video, we created our directory called Devops-sixfigures, created a file called main.tf, and we define our version constraint, which is a Terraform block. It's a top level block. It has no level, and it is used to define version constraint for your Terraform configuration. Okay, so we said that when you have a version constraint block in the Terraform block, we have two things you need to understand: required version and the required provider plugin version. Two different things. The versions on line 6, as you see on my screen, is the version of the provider plugin for AWS that Terraform needs in order to provision your infrastructure. While line 2, required version, is the minimum version of the Terraform that you need to install in order for you to be able to provision your infrastructure in AWS. So once you have these two things understood, all you need to do is to run your Terraform init. You run a Terraform init. With your Terraform init, you are initializing your backend, right? Initializing your backend. After you run your Terraform init, Terraform must have initialized your backend, download the provider plugin and install it on your local environment. Once this process is done, there's something we need to talk about before we conclude our version constraint series. Good. When you see that the file was created here called .terraform.log.acl, if you open this file, it gives you these hashes. Question: what is the use of these hashes? Now you need to, Terraform is using this terraform.log.acl as a log file. These are the hashes to promise Terraform that the version of the provider plugin is going to stay constant for the entire process of this Terraform configuration. I repeat again, this terraform.log.acl file is a log file that logs in the provider plugin version at version 5.1.0. Now, when will this file have an update? If you ever change the version of the provider plugin, say from version 5.31 to 5.32, you will have to run Terraform init again. Why? Because these hashes has to be changed. Terraform needs to download the new plugin version and log in with these hashes, such a way that each time you run any Terraform operation, the same provider plugin version is going to be used to interact with AWS backend. Thank you so much for watching this video. On this video, we are going to learn the difference between required version and required provider plugin version. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you in the next video.